Welcome to the Gritcast, where we get into the nitty-gritty of all things hockey. From the East to the West Coast. Here are your hosts, Matt Pierce, Nikosh Ganguly, and Darius Dominguez.
All right, everyone. Hello, and welcome back to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Gritcast, and Darius isn't here. So, yeah, great way to start the season.
Just us and I, or you and I, running the show.
Us and
for
I,
the most part.
It's the M&M show. You know
what does Darius do anyways, right? So,
no idea, but shout out someone. Anyway, guys, so it's the first week of the NHL season. Obviously, a lot of fun. It's the first week of the NHL season. Always kind of feels like the first round of the playoffs, Matt. I don't know if you kind of get that feeling. You want to watch every game. You want to be able to stay up and watch them all in sequence. Do you get that feeling when the season starts?
Yeah, I think from the first day of the season until maybe Saturday or Sunday, yeah, I kind of get that feeling. I'm just trying to check out what I can. Some of the exciting teams, I watched some of the New Jersey Detroit game last night. Yeah, just getting a feel for how the league's going to be this season.
Yeah, and just some storylines coming out of the first few games. We had Philip Gustafson pitch a shutout, 41 save shutout. That's pretty good. Oilers, they got shell shocked. The Leafs won a crazy opener. We're gonna get into both those games, but first things first, Matt. We actually are gonna jump right into the Oilers game. Matt, what I'm gonna ask you is, did you see the video of the fight in the lower bowl while the game was going on?
I did. Yeah. I'm a sucker for crowd fights. I'm not gonna lie.
I too. I can't lie.
It's over the smallest stuff too. Hey, you cheer for the wrong team, I'm gonna kick your ass, and then it just escalates into there.
No, it's I will say, man, as much as I love pro wrestling and watching people fight, I don't know why. Something about just two random average dudes just going at it for no reason always makes me laugh. Because they're first of all, they're intoxicated. It's over a sports game, like you said, it's over something dumb. But Matt, something worse than that fight was the Oilers play on ice. So going into this game, we know Jack Campbell had a good preseason, played well, but I was doing some fantasy drafts. I still took my boy Stuart Skinner. I drafted Stuart Skinner, and people were like, "Nick, don't you know Jack Campbell's having a good preseason?" And I was like, "Okay, man, whatever. I don't give a fuck." And then yesterday, Jack Campbell's starting, or sorry, not yesterday, 2 days ago, Jack Campbell's starting, right? And I'm like, you know what? It's Vancouver. I'm gonna spot start him in fantasy. That was a poor decision. Matt, what happened with Jack Campbell and the Oilers and Stuart Skinner too? What happened?
It wasn't so much not all the blame is on Campbell. Of course, the first 2 goals kind of weak, but it was the defensive play. I mean, just a complete tire fire in our own zone. I think our best pairing all night was Broberg Desharnais. When that's your best pairing, yikes, because the other 2 pairings I do believe are Nurse and Bouchard, which wasn't as strong, and Kulak and Ceci. Matthias Ekholm still out with a hip flexor problem. But yeah, no, just the new defensive structure that Jay Woodcroft and Dave Manson had installed. First game wasn't the best example.
No, and I don't know if you were to pay attention to some of the post-game quotes, but what were the vibes feeling from McDavid and Draisaitl after the game there?
It was more so just we got to be better. And then even Jay Woodcroft too said we weren't good enough, and well, no shit, Jay, it's 8-1. McDavid, I feel like the media tries to cherry pick some quotes to not make him look bad. It's well, why'd you say that, Connor? Because I do believe Rick Tocchet pulled Thatcher Demko when the Canucks were up by 7 in favor. I forget who their backup was. It was
DeSmith?
Casey DeSmith, right? Yeah. McDavid didn't really like that, but he didn't have all the facts. Thatcher Demko, of course, had the flu. I mean, yeah, there wasn't anything wrong with it. I didn't feel like that was a lack of respect or lack of sportsmanship. That was just, showing mercy to your starting goaltender. If he's sick, well, put him on the bench.
Take the guy out. And another thing, Matt, I will ask this question. I think I can answer it. I'll answer this too. But there was a quote from McDavid when someone asked him, "Oh, they're up 7-1 and they put the first power play out." And then McDavid was like, "Oh, you don't really like that." In my head, I'm like, bro, don't go down 7-1. Maybe just don't go down 7-1. Do you feel the same way about throwing out the first power play unit, or are you maybe they should throw the second unit? But I don't think it matters too much.
It doesn't, and especially in the first game of the season, the Canucks want to get that power play going. I do believe last season, did they not have they were ranked like bottom 5 in the power play, so they want to get that going, that 5-man unit going. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it in the first game of the season.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that either. But we do have to talk about the Vancouver Canucks side of things. Brock Besser comes out, pitches a 4-goal game. That's pretty good, man. Matt, I know it's hard. It's hard to do this when your team gets shit kicked 8-1. What did you see coming from the Vancouver Canucks in the first game?
They were just all over Edmonton. I mean, there's not much more you can say about it. Like looking at the stats here, like shots on goal, 32-27. But everything else, like Vancouver was just shit kicking them to put it brief. Like Edmonton came out of the gate flat. Vancouver capitalized, and they just had their foot on the pedal all night long. And there's really nothing you can say about that on the Oilers side besides, don't do that again.
Please don't do that again. Like,
Please.
I think it's crazy. Like, you get so hyped for the first day of the season. Let's go. The boys are back. The Oilers are like odds on, almost favorites to win the Stanley Cup. You know, you get all these additions, a full season of back home. They come out, and they get fucking shit kicked 8-1. That shit must not be fun. Matt, what was the disparity like? Like when you see all the goals coming, like, you were so excited, and then they just get killed. Is this like a regular day in Oilers Nation, or how are you? Like, I bet you were excited for this season considering how good they are.
I was excited, but like everybody else, like I didn't have any qualms about the offense or defense. It was the goaltending. Is Jack Campbell going to be back to form? Is Stuart Skinner going to rebound from that hellacious playoff run that he had? And then, yeah, they just, like I said earlier, they just came out of the gate flat. I mean, this was a regular occurrence, you know, before the McDavid and Draisaitl days. Like, of course, I was expecting good teams to run them out of the building, but to see that roster lose by 7 goals in the first game of the regular season, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm worried. Like, I'm a little worried, of course. I mean, fuck, if you lose by 7 goals, who wouldn't be worried? It's yeah, the second game against Vancouver on Saturday night. If they sort of even if they lose that one close, I mean, sure, you tried more than you did on Wednesday night, but I think I'm worried after the second loss, or second big loss, I should say.
Yeah, that's going to be a big rematch tomorrow. Hopefully, the Oilers should come firing out the gate. They have they have some passionate players, guys like Hyman, Draisaitl especially. Underratedly, people don't understand how dialed that guy gets, especially
Now,
in the playoffs.
Nick, question for you. As an outsider, you're Jay Woodcroft. Going into game 2, who do you start?
That's a great question. You know what? I know it's crazy to say. Honestly, I don't think it's. I think it's an easy answer. Actually, I mean, you got to go to Stuart Skinner. Here's why. Number one, look, I know you're looking at Jack Campbell. That massive contract looked terrible last year. We all know that. We all know the story. Has a decent preseason, but it's the preseason. Like, some guys have bad preseasons and look good in the regular season. Some guys have great preseasons and look bad in the regular season. Shout out my boy Ty Ratty. But I will say, I think you got to go with Stuart Skinner. Number one, did he just get an extension? Like last year?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, so you have that extension. He's your young goalie of the future. I know you have to mitigate the cap with a guy like Jack Campbell, but you got to instill confidence in that guy. I know, like, he came in and he still got rocked for 4 goals, like, as well, but I think it just makes more sense. I think the Oilers are going to be fired up. I think they're all going to be fired up. But, Matt, is Mattias Ekholm going to be back Saturday?
They're working towards it. I wouldn't say it's confirmed, but yeah, still that hip flexor problem.
Yeah, and I think a guy like Mattias Ekholm, it's so crazy. Last year, the Oilers didn't have him for a long time because, like, you look at the D pairings without him and, like, you know, Tyson Barrie, whatever. Like, Nurse, Bouchard, that is not a formidable, like, top defensive pairing. And yes, in the game, like Cody Ceci got murdered by Elias Pettersson. No offense to Elias Pettersson, but, like, come on, man, let's get real here. And then, like you said, almost a Leaf, Vinny Desharnais, almost a Leaf, as they said. So almost traded for Sam Lafferty. And Philip Broberg, like, you know, I make my jokes about Broberg, but as you said, Desharnais, not that great. And Broberg's still young. Like, as your third pairing, you said they're going to be good, but, like, they were good in that game, but still, you know, it's hard to nitpick who's good in 8-1 game. Not many people are going to be that great.
Like the only Oiler MVPs that game, not even most valuable, they were just there. They showed hustle, was Hyman and Holloway. And I don't know why Holloway decided to block a shot with his hand in a 7-1 game. I was like, man, come on. You don't have to battle for a roster spot. It's yours. Nobody's going to take it away from you. You don't have to put your body on the line when you're down by 6.
Yeah,
He
I know.
should be in the lineup for tomorrow. So nothing drastic.
Yeah, and Matt, I did you see anything from Connor Brown yesterday? Like at all?
Not so much. He's still trying to get into that like regular season game speed. In the preseason, he was all right, but I mean, everybody's all right in the preseason. Jack Campbell went 3-0 with a 970, and look what he did on Wednesday night. But
Exactly.
I'm not too worried about Connor Brown, seeing as he only played 4 games last year in the 2022-23 season. So I'll just have to give it time with him.
Yeah, of course, and I think that's something to look forward to. The little storylines coming out of Edmonton as the story goes on. But yeah, tomorrow they face Vancouver again. I think that's going to be honestly a good watch. They should come back firing. The Vancouver Canucks are also fired up after a win like that, and they've had a lackluster off season or even the last season. But moving on, we do have another phenom. Connor Bedard has he scored his first NHL goal. He got his first point in the first game. Matt, I don't know if you got to catch any of Bedard at work, but what are you seeing from the kid in his first couple games here in the NHL?
Like a lot of confidence, and it doesn't show that he's nervous at all. In the first game against Pittsburgh, sure, okay, like especially going up on the draw against like Sid for your very first NHL draw, yeah, there's some nerves there. Got his first point on a Ryan Donato goal, but he's really started to show out in the Boston game.
Yeah,
Lots of confidence. Could use a little work on the shift length. He was out there for kind of a long time in both games. But yeah, I mean, the media hype is real. I don't know why people want to see him fail. Like, you need good young players like Bedard.
yeah. I think too, it's like you always have the crowd where it's like market your stars, and then they've been pushing Bedard in your face, like the interviews with Crosby, like every NHL social post has been Bedard, and I think it should be. You need to market you need to market him. He's going to be the next guy in the league, and I think getting away from Bedard a little. Let's talk about Pittsburgh for a second. I do want to talk about them. I don't know if you got to watch them or saw any of the charts after. Yeah, man, they were up 2-0 against a bad Chicago team, and just like their last loss against Chicago, they choked. They choked again. Crosby, Malkin, Carlson. Apparently, Carlson was like the worst player on the ice defensively. When isn't he though? We know what you get with him. But is there any kind of worry from that first game for Pittsburgh? I know it's the time for overreactions. It's game 1, week 1 of the season. But is there any worry in Pittsburgh, Matt?
Not yet, but I think if it continues to be like this, it's kind of cliche, but yeah, I think there is some worry to be had in Pittsburgh. They're all getting old, and it's not like they can get back to their young selves easily like they could in like 2016 or 2017. But yeah, I mean, the Pens, I think they're going to start to show their age this season.
Yeah, and Jake Gensel did come back. They said he was going to be out 2 weeks, but he just made his return for night 1. But shifting back to the Blackhawks here, Taylor Hall did unfortunately sustain an injury in the last game. So now he's off Bedard's line. They had a decent connection together, which was cool. But now the first line for the Blackhawks is Taylor Radish, Connor Bedard, and Ryan Donato. That's gonna be a little tough, but it just means Bedard has more work cut out for him. Shout out to Seth Jones too, doing decent work on the power play there. But yeah, man, the Blackhawks without Taylor Hall, with Taylor Hall they already looked bad. Without Taylor Hall, they are going to look worse. But I think one interesting thing about what's going on with the Blackhawks is this little like world tour they scheduled for Bedard before he goes home to Chicago. So just looking at the schedule here, he's doing a lot of away games. So you had Pittsburgh against Crosby. You had Boston, best team in the league last year, far and away. And tomorrow he's going into Montreal. One of the most popular franchises in the league. And then he goes to Toronto, also one of the most popular franchises in the league. And then finally, after building all that hype, Bedard gets to, go home. Actually, no, he's going to Colorado first. That's crazy. But yeah, he's going to Colorado, and then he finally gets to go home. Matt, do you agree with this kind of way they've advertised Bedard of going, play a bunch of teams in the huge markets first, and then let the fans kind of salivate for what he's going to be, and then hype up that home opener?
Honestly, I'm kind of shocked they didn't go Chicago, Toronto on like a Saturday night. Like, that's a storyline waiting to be had, like Canada, USA, like Bedard versus Matthews. Saturday night hockey night in Canada, but no, I guess they needed a marquee matchup for the Monday night hockey or whatever the hell they call it. But yeah, no, this sort of tour, visiting a bunch of the other original six franchises. Like by the time he goes home, yeah, he'd already played the Bruins, the Canadians, and the Leafs. Uh, yeah, I mean,
They're
he's
doing good with
exciting.
him. They're doing
They
good with
are,
him.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's about damn time because I as a fan, I think as people who are fans of more than one sport, like even like every other league, markets their stars really well. You know every superstar, but you know a lot of people don't know who the McDavids, the Matthews, the McKinnons of the world, which is unfortunate. So hopefully Bedard is a guy that can kind of start a trend of just just be annoying with it, man. Like post your stars all the time. As much as you got to give your flowers to the fourth liners and the third liners of the world, in the grand scheme of things, they don't really matter. It's just, Canada loves their blue collar workers, but sports loves the superstars. So you got to advertise the superstars.
And it's kind of strange how in Canada Bedard's first two games, or no, his second game against the Bruins wasn't like nationally televised. It was on NHL Center Ice. I've got that, of course, but they had the Habs and Leafs anyways. It's kind of shocking how much Sportsnet, I don't want to say ignores Bedard, but with the way they've been hyping him up on the panel and everything, you'd think they'd want to show him a little bit more with the nationally televised broadcast. Because I know in the States, the first two games, the first one, Pittsburgh was on ESPN, and then the Bruins game was on TNT.
Yeah.
So
should be,
the states are doing better at marketing Bedard than Canada is.
Yeah, and I also think it's like a Canadians really like you see in the playoffs. There's like stats for it. Once the Canadian teams are eliminated, the playoff like views in Canada dip really hard until like the cup finals. So you see that, but it's good. Hockey needs another superstar. I think we got really lucky with Matthews and McDavid like back to back, which was nice. And then, there was a little bit of a break until Hughes became like a superstar. Same thing with Darlene, like in Heisher, like it wasn't like immediate hype. And then you got Bedard. So I think maybe they've learned from their mistakes, especially in the US. And like hockey is already really prominent in Canada. What like doesn't really matter what they do, people are gonna watch that shit. And then, in the US it has to get bigger. So Bedard is gonna be huge for that. We'll see what he does in his next game. People are gonna follow. I think my favorite thing they did is against Boston. Bedard scores his first goal, and then that graphic pops up where it's like chasing down the great one, and it's like Bedard 1, Gretzky 894. That was funny. I actually appreciated that. That was pretty cool.
Just looking at the schedule here, the first Connor versus Connor matchup, Hawks Oilers, not until December 12th. So still got a ways away to see two phenoms go against each other. I'm shocked they waited that long to schedule that.
Probably didn't do it fucking next week, but that should be really good. Just around that holiday break season, people should be hopefully tuned into that. But yeah, Bedard gonna be a huge topic on this podcast throughout the whole season. But the next topic, a little bit more intense topic. We have the whole the NHL has basically banned pride tape, and we know some backstory to that. Like a few players last year said, they basically said they would be like, I love everyone, but my religious views say I can't wear pride tape, which is, a contradiction in some. But Matt, so they officially announced the ban of pride tape. I also think they announced the ban of like other special jerseys and stuff like that. Yeah. So, which is interesting to me. Matt, my question for you is, like, why?
There's so many things to wrap around the topic. Like they took away the jerseys, and then they took away the tape. Like the tape is optional. Not everyone has to like endure their stick with the tape. I don't get why they do that. It's kind of hypocritical where they go, "Oh, freedom of speech," and then someone or like a player goes, "Hey, can I put this tape on my stick?" Freedom of speech, and the league goes, "Nope." So it's just kind of stupid the way they try to reason that. And it's also kind of ironic too that the NHL like banned the pride tape, but if you look on any like NHL shop, they still sell the LGBTQ NHL merch. So unless they can make a buck off it, then hockey is not for everyone. Only if you can afford it.
Yeah, I know and also like, I don't understand why people love getting worked up over like things that aren't like I don't see as pride tape being like this like hugely obviously I think it's maybe a little tone deaf, but to me it's not controversial. To I guess a lot of people it is, which is why they banned it. But I think the NHL is going backwards. It's a backwards league. We just talked about how they're finally marketing the stars in a progressive way, but in terms of like topics like this, it's just like, man, like go spine or something. Like he has been doing pride stuff for months, for years, and then all of a sudden, like Ivan Provorov and James Reimer say they don't want to wear, and the Stahl brothers are like, ooh, I don't want to wear pride. Who gives a fuck? And which brings me to the topic about, I think Bedard, not Bedard, McDavid talked about it, how like they asked him about it. They're gonna ask all the stars about it, I assume. And I think he basically, I don't have the exact quote, but he was like, I think people should be allowed to, express themselves and whatever. And then Scott Lawn specifically said, I'm probably just gonna wear it anyway, which is cool for him. But Matt, just this whole thing, like, what are your general thoughts on the overall like just topic of this in the NHL as it continuously like goes backwards?
Honestly, like it's such an ass backwards move by the league. Like, hey, if you wear the tape on your stick, you get fined. Well, why doesn't like every superstar wear the tape to send a message? Like Matthews, Marner, McDavid, McKinnon, because they can't punish all of them. Those are their golden boys, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't think that'll happen
yeah,
though, unfortunately.
yeah,
It sucks. And we've talked about pride tape and the hockey is for everyone topics at length on this show. And I think our both of our views are the same. Hockey should be for everyone.
it should be. Yeah,
It's a big setback for people that want to feel included in the sport. And you want to grow your league, you got to be able to include everyone in your sport. So which sucks. I also think they said they're gonna like ban. I don't know if they said they're gonna like think about this, right? If you're gonna ban this, like, does this like do you ban military nights, hockey fights, cancer nights? Like I know some teams do the Chinese New Year nights. Some teams do all these like themed nights, which are fun. Like it's cool to get the new jerseys and stuff. And like you said, Matt, it seems like the only way they'll want to include everyone is if they can sell it to people, which is unfortunate. I think it sucks. I hope more of the prominent players in the league, like as much as I appreciate Scott Lawton, he's like a third liner on the Flyers. No offense to him, of course, but
yeah.
You need more from the big players in the NHL. It's very backwards. It sucks, and hopefully, hopefully this will change eventually. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, just going back on your comment on the theme nights, teams still have the theme nights. They just can't wear the jerseys. I know the Oilers and the Jets. I've looked at both the promo schedules, and they still do the promo nights. Yeah, it's just like the on ice part of it that the NHL is
stupid,
not allowed because the NHL is archaic in its ways of thinking, and it's dumb.
No spine. The league is no spine. Commissioner, same way. But yeah, unfortunately, that is what's going on. But we do have to pivot. We had two big defenseman extensions announced over the past week. Owen Power and Devon Toews. If I can just pull up the extensions here. I know Owen Power got a contract similar to Jake Sanderson, and Devon Toews got a decent deal as well. So Owen Power just got his nice deal, paying him $8.35 million over 8 years. Sabres lock him up. They've locked up their whole core. And then Devon Toews, if I can just open this up here, just signed this extension today. That was a little bit of a worry for Colorado fans because he's a very good player. Still a little bit in the shadow of Cale Makar, unfortunately. But yeah, he gets a 7-year deal. He's turning 30, I believe, once the deal starts. And it is a total of $50.75 million, which is about $7.25 million average. Matt, I think we're both in agreement to say these are two decent extensions. But I'll first ask you, what do you think of the Owen Power extension in Buffalo? Because he hasn't played that many games yet.
Hasn't, but it's also just go back on a previous extension in the league. Jake Sanderson with Ottawa, two teams wanting to get a young stud defenseman locked up and for a really good deal. Just looking at their cap friendly here, a big part of their core is their long term because you got like Skinner locked up long term, Tage Thompson long term, Dylan Cousins long term, and now Dolene. Matthias Samuelson for some reason, and now Owen Power. So yeah, Buffalo is not here to mess around, and I'd imagine they want to get Devon Levi extended as soon as possible.
Even though I'm pretty sure Devon Levi got lit up last game. I
still
remember
time.
I was there's still time. But yeah, it's a good contract. I think and you're betting on Owen Power reaching that potential with the cap going up. You know, he's probably going to become a superstar in this league. Like Darlene got his extension. I don't know if we talked about that at length, but yeah, he got his too. But yeah, former first overall pick, Mississauga boy. That's my dogs right there. Let's go. But yeah, he's a good player. Last year he was good, 35 points in 75 games as a rookie. That's really good numbers. You can expect that to just go up. And the projected stats from Elite Prospects says he's going to have 0 goals, 82 assists in 82 games. I'm sure that's wrong.
Point per game, baby. Let's go.
82 assists and no goals. So, good for Owen Power, according to Elite Prospects here. But yeah, it's great. I think you're going to see more teams locking up their young guys early, betting on that potential. Especially you got a season that looked promising for him. And then, caps going up. Defensemen, I've all been making like a $9 million. So it's nice to get a guy in at that number. I think him and Sanderson, good contracts for both of them. I like that a lot for both teams. The Sabres, they're going to be very good, man. They're an exciting team. I think they got to lock in a little more defensively, but, with a young team, all you got to do is score some goals. But, Matt, we have another extension, like I said earlier. A defenseman, been in the league a long time, was once traded for 2 seconds and a fourth from Lou Lamoriello. Great move, Lou. To the Colorado Avalanche. Cale Makar's, right hand man, or left hand man, I guess at this point. And then, gets a big extension. So, Matt, what do you think of Devon Toews as a player? And number 2 is, do you like this contract?
I do, like 7.25 mil until I do believe it was 7 years, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I mean, until he's 36? That's a great contract. I was worried about the Avs getting that done, and they did. And I do believe in our defenseman ranking, I had him number 8, did I not? So, I mean, great player.
I think I had him higher. Yeah, he's so good.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if Cale Makar wasn't there, like, everybody would be talking about Devon Toews. Like,
yep.
Like, he's so underrated, or I guess not to us, like, he's great, but to the rest of the league, to the casual fan watching the game, he's very, very underlooked.
To the masses, yes, I agree. And just looking at it, I feel like him and Cale Makar are going to be Team Canada's first pair whenever those Olympics roll around, or even the World Cup of Hockey. I think it just makes sense. But yeah, Devon Toews is a sick man, and even like people point out, just like watching him play, and like he's a great player, very solid. But dude, even looking at like his like point production, like last year he had 39 points in 80 games. Before that, 50 points in 80 games. So I was going to have plus minus 50 points in 80 games, so even better. Before that, he had 57 points in 66 games. Great fucking player, steady. Once again, that Colorado decor is scary because you saw Bowen Byram, who's looking to take a step if he can stay healthy. And yeah, it's a good extension. It's great. Yeah. I know you're worried about the age eventually, but elite players tend to have a slower fall off. And Devon Toews is an elite player, no doubt about it. He's great. You're like, and $7.25 million, Matt, it's pretty negligible in a cap that we expect to go up, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And like you said, like the only question mark on that defense is Bowen Byram. But of course, he's an RFA, and that's not up until the end of next year, 2024-25. So lots of breathing room for Chris McFarland in that Avalanche war room.
Yeah. So good for, you know what, man? Good for Colorado. So I can't even be a hater. But yeah, other than that, we did like just some league stuff. It was cool, or like fantasy stuff. It was cool to see Philip Gustafson pitch a nice shutout, 41 saves. I did talk about that a little earlier. Shout out Minnesota, man. I think Matt Boldy also scored. I think we're both big Matt Boldy guys on this show. So yeah. It's cool. Good for him.
And I believe Brock Faber, I believe he got his first goal too last night.
Yes, he did. Yeah, yes, he did.
Minnesota boy in a Minnesota uniform getting it done.
Minnesota. So good for him. And yeah, despite all that, hopefully Minnesota is doing pretty. They're going to be decent, which is good. And aside from that, in terms of just big headlines, nothing much just yet. I think Michael Bunting scored a goal in Carolina. He also apparently dived a little. Sens fans were, not too happy with that. And yeah, nothing too crazy. All the good teams who thought were going to be good have been good. basically except the Oilers. So let's
pretty much.
Let's see what happens there. But let's get into our last segment of the show. Let's talk about the Leafs game, man. Matt, did you get a chance to watch this one?
I only watched the first period.
Yeah,
and I do believe it wasn't the best period for the Leafs because it was what all happened. It was that Jake Evans goal off the TJ Brody slip up at the blue line.
Oh yeah, that was brutal.
Other than that, after I was sort of scoreboard watching because I was watching the Bruins Hawks game at that time. I saw Newhook put the Habs up 2-0. I was like, okay, the Habs are going to win this one, and then the Leafs just they wouldn't give up. That was pretty impressive. I'm not going to lie.
Dude, that was a really. I'm sad it ended in the shootout. I hope there's going to be an overtime winner. Like Matthew Nyes and both Austin Matthews have good chances. And I thought Matthews was going to get his fourth. He had like a mini breakaway in OT. I would have been hype as shit. But yeah, it was a good, really fun game. That's a game you want to open up the season, man. Just 6-5, super high scoring. There's nobody playing defense at all. And yeah, that's fun. From the Leafs side of things, obviously Matthews looked great. Nylander looked great. Tavares looked good. Marner didn't love his game too much, honestly. He was, fighting it a little that game, but, he's going to put together a good regular season. John Klingberg, let me talk about him for a little. He had a superb game. Looked great on that first power play, passing it to Matthews and Nylander around the ice. I think they wanted to bring him in so they could have more of a shooting threat. And having a right-handed defenseman instead of Morgan Riley on there mixes it up a little. You can game plan a little, it just switches it up. So that's also cool. And I would like a little more from Max Domi, personally. I think you have that second line of Domi, Tavares, Nylander, and I think you're looking at that and you're like, dude, if this line gets trapped in the defensive zone, guaranteed goal for their team, and that is what happened. And then the fourth line of Noah Gregor, Ryan Reeves, and David Kemp. Ryan Reeves fought Arbor Jacki. We all knew that was going to happen. I think everyone predicted that. They didn't look that bad, man. They didn't look that bad. So that was cool too, honestly.
Yeah. The first period, of course, is an outlier. Didn't watch any from the second or third. But it's good to see the Leafs sort of warm up to game speed. They had 42 shots on goal. I didn't even know that. But my question for you, Nick, is you might have already answered this, but out of the new acquisitions on the Leafs, okay, besides Klingberg, I'll make this harder for you. Besides Klingberg, who on the team out of the new acquisitions made the impact on you? Or made the biggest impact on you, I should say.
I thought Tyler Bertuzzi looked really good yesterday. Not yesterday, 2 days ago. To me, I thought he had a little bit of a lackluster preseason. I think he was still finding his way playing with guys like Matthews and Marner. Like, it's not as easy as someone might think, but he's making good passes. He was being a dickhead. As they said, bringing that snot to the Leafs, as they've been saying all offseason. Like Bertuzzi, like there was a point where like he got into a scuffle and like Matthews and Marner joined the scuffle on their own. So it was cool. It was good. Like stuff like that is happening. So that's awesome. He had a couple good passes. I think he could have scored a couple goals. So yeah, they brought in Bertuzzi to be that left winger on the first line, be a Michael Bunting with more of of a pass with decent production. So I will say Tyler Bertuzzi, Matt, would be my answer to that question. I don't know if you have any other questions here in the Leafs segment.
I've only got one other question, and I think you can sort of dive into this a little more in depth. Is there any cause for concern with Ilya Samsonov?
No, not really, not yet. He was solid the entirety of the last regular season. I think it's the first game. Even though our defense didn't look too great, like you had Liljegren and Brody give up two terrible giveaways, like at the worst time. But Matt, to that though, like people were saying, you can't blame him on all these goals. But at some point you're the goalie, like you said, Matt, with Jack Campbell, make a save. Let's get a save. So I will say I'm not concerned. I don't really maybe 3 years ago, Nick would have been really concerned, but I got into the point now where it's like, you gotta live in the moment with hockey, and it's fun. The 6-5 game, Matthews gets a hat trick. I think a lot. I saw a lot of this. I think this is gonna be a storyline throughout the season if he stays healthy. A lot of people, Matt. I don't know if you can kind of agree with this. They're kind of down on Matthews in the offseason. Like I saw a lot of top 50 rankings putting him 8th or 9th or 7th, and I'm like, come on, man. 7th, 8th. I cannot name 7 players better than Austin Matthews in the NHL. I don't know if I could confidently name 3 better players. So, Matt, do you see a little like villain arc from Matthews maybe coming into the season?
Perhaps, yeah. And like you said, with the rankings, it almost seemed like it was a little bit of recency bias, not knowing like the other seasons besides last season. Like he could dominate the game if he chose to. But yeah, like a villain art, I could see him being a solid contender, like sort of breaking away from the pack when it comes to the Rocket Richard race this year. I think
Yeah.
he has something else to prove. Or not something else to prove. He has like he's back. He's gonna say he's back, baby.
Yep, especially with that nice little extension he got. Look for a great fucking season from 34. I think it's gonna be amazing. But defensively, I think was my larger concern for the Leafs. Like even before the game started, they do. I think they need a guy. Brad Treliving said their defense is underrated. I don't know what that means, but okay. I think they need a defenseman. As much as I love Liljegren and Giordano, Giordano's a little older. I don't know if he should play every game, but the NHL is weird with load management type things. That old man stubbornness is gonna go out there. Gotta display that masculinity and play every game. So that's cool for him. But yeah, I think they just need a defenseman. I like their forward core. I don't know if Fraser Minton sticks around. I think he might get the 9 games, and then maybe you give it to someone else like a Pontus Holmberg, who's still waiting in the ranks, who's also decent. But yeah, I think I want more from the Minton, Nyes, Yarncroke line. But it's their first game. 2 young guys. Nyes looked okay. People are forgetting this is still technically his rookie season, even though he looked good in the playoffs. But yeah, and the Leafs are. I think they play Minnesota on Saturday, so that should be good in the Chicago on Monday. So yeah, Hockey Night in Canada is back. I'm super excited for that. Matt, are you excited to the day is over. It's Saturday. It's around 7:00 or 6:00 for you. And then, you get to sit on your couch, maybe order some takeout, some pizza, some Chinese, turn on that TV, get your phone ready, lay back on that couch and just enjoy some Saturday night hockey. Are you looking forward to that?
I am. It's going to be an all-day affair because at noon tomorrow, noon Central, Flyers Sens, Panthers Jets at 3. So they sort of had it schedule-wise excellent. And then at 6:00, there's so many goddamn games on. There are 2, 4. There are 6 games that start at the same time because the league is awesome when it comes to scheduling. I noticed just breaking away here on the 24th, Tuesday, October 24th, they have all 32 teams playing, and the game times are all staggered by 15 minutes, which I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool, but it's also going to be weird seeing a game start at like 6:15 p.m. But it also gives me time to sort of like check out each game. Check out each game.
Exactly.
I know ESPN, they're doing their own version of NFL Red Zone where they go from game to game, sort of see what's happening, see what's not happening, because some of the games are just stinkers. Like, really, who wants to watch what's going to be a stinker of a game? Ducks Blue Jackets. Boy, that's a barn burner if I've ever heard one.
Oh, that should be like the second, just like put that one in the middle of everything.
Yeah, no, the Leafs and Caps actually kicked that off at 5 p.m. Central. That should be fun. But yeah, Saturday night, I'm excited. Bedard in the Bell Center for the very first time. Hockey's Cathedral. He's making his way for his 3rd NHL game. Oilers Canucks at 9. Wild Leafs at 6. I mean, you really can't go wrong. That's how you know fall has arrived with Hockey Night in Canada.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
The weather's just a little colder. You're getting a little bit of that breeze. The leaves colors are changing, and it's just, to me, it's one of my favorite times of the year. It's always a little cozy at this time. But Matt, let's get into our wrap question here. I just came up with it now. All right. So first of all, thank you guys so much for listening so far. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good shit, Twitter as well. And Matt, my question for you is, so as we mentioned earlier, Bedard has already played 2 games and he has 1 goal, 1 assist. He still has the the Canadians, the Leafs, and the Avalanche, and then he comes home next Saturday against Vegas. But Matt, how many points, goals, and assists will Bedard have by the time the home opener rolls around?
Oh, I think 6 points.
6 points?
I think yeah, two goals and four apples. I think 6 points. I was gonna go 8, but I was like, am I shooting for the moon here? But 6, I think that's a safe option.
Yeah, I think he could. I think there's gonna be one of these games, maybe against Montreal or like maybe against any of these teams where he kind of goes off. He has like a 3-point night, go 1 goal, 2 assist night. I think that's gonna happen soon. I think it's brewing. So I'll say he'll have like 7 points, 3 goals, 4 apples, maybe. I think he's due for a very good open night. But Matt, that being said, a little bit of a short show today, but we kept it sweet, we kept it simple, we kept it concise. I think the energy was fun. But yeah, guys, for everyone that's watching and listening, if you're having a great day,
sorry, just a second, Nick. I just learned this out. Through 2 games, he has 11 shots on goal. So
that's crazy.
That is crazy. Sorry. Continue with the closing. Just wanted to throw that in there. Like 11
he's shots,
and he's only got 1 goal. All right, that's gonna pick up. But sorry, continue with the outro.
I will say though, if there's like an over/under or like a shot total for Bedard over the whole season, I would take whatever the high number is because he's gonna be shooting that thing. Yeah. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for listening. If you're listening to this in the day, have a great day. If you listen to this tonight, have a great night. If you listen to this while driving, guys, always drive safe. For me and Matt and Darius, who's not here on the Gritcast, we'll see you guys throughout the week and for the big show next Friday. The season has finally started. Let's go, everyone. Peace out.
For more content, visit our YouTube channel and check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to follow the guys on social media at Matt_Mondays, at Nick LaFlame, and at Darius Dominguez.